As the month of February comes to an end, the Patriots are putting in the work for the beginning of the league year. Hello and welcome to Patriots All Access presented by GEICO. I'm Steve Burton. It's the calm before the storm. Free agency is set to begin in March with the NFL draft 2 months away. Dan Roach sets the table for what should be an active offseason.
Football is a microcosm of life. It's struggle, it's triumph, it's defeat. That's life. And if we haven't learned anything else, I hope we've learned that this year. There's too many lessons, too rich, that are going to make all of us better on the other side.
The Patriots are on to that other side, and that is the 2021 offseason. Change is commonplace in the NFL, and for the 2021 Patriots, it starts with longtime Director of Player Personnel Nick Caserio moving on to Houston, leaving his assistant Dave Ziegler with a different role moving forward.
Every season is a little bit different. Every offseason is a little bit different. I think that, in this one we've seen some quarterbacks move that maybe is a little bit non-traditional, but I think that as far as the market and movement, I don't think it's anything that wasn't anticipated.
That quarterback spot will be closely watched here in New England. Will Bill Belichick's next starting quarterback come from within, via trade, free agency, or the draft? It's a major question mark that will be addressed.
Hightower gets to the quarterback. Ball is loose. Patriots sacking Ryan and recovering at the 25.
A potential positive for the Pats in 2021 might be the return of last year's opt-outs and the injection of veterans Dante Hightower, Patrick Chung, Brandon Bolden, and others could help. Now, some key dates as far as Patriots fans should watch for. March 17th is the beginning of the league year. That begins free agency. We'll see how the Patriots maneuver and what aggressiveness Bill Belichick has in that. And in the meantime, don't forget the draft a little bit later, Steve, April 29th, 30th, and May 1st. So we'll see what happens, but that's when the Patriots will restock, reshape that roster, getting ready for 2021.
Dan, let me ask you this. With the way the season went last year, do you see the Patriots taking a more aggressive approach in the offseason?
I think they'll take that same aggressive approach that Bill Belichick has always had. When it comes to free agency, maybe it's not the biggest of names, but he targets the guys that he fits or feels fits that system. I think he'll go after them. When it comes to the draft, I think he'll do that same thing, maneuver to get the players that he wants, and then we'll see what happens after that. The quarterback position and everything else should be interesting to watch it all unfold. And I think, he didn't forget to coach, how to coach. He didn't forget how to pick players. And I think that the Patriots fans should have that confidence in Bill Belichick, as they always do going forward.
All right, Roachy. Good stuff as usual.
Good to see you.
You too, my friend. We'll be back with more Patriots All Access right after this.
Coming up on All Access.
We chat with Patriots Assistant Director of Player Personnel, Dave Ziegler.
I think having cap space gives you flexibility. At the same time, there's still a responsibility to spend those dollars wisely.
But first, Scott Zolak spins the wheel of the quarterback carousel and gives us his thoughts on potential Patriots quarterbacks.
Right now, he's my number one choice. And the reason that I do say that is I think he gets you the quickest back to contention.
You're watching Patriots All Access.
Patriots All Access is brought to you by Pepsi. That's what I like. Pepsi, the official soft drink of the New England Patriots. And by Putnam Investments. Putnam Investments and the New England Patriots. Proud partners committed to an active game plan on the field and off. And by Bank of America, official bank of the New England Patriots.
Buyer beware. There have been 22 quarterbacks drafted in the first round between 2009 and 2016. None of those players are expected to be with the team that drafted them for the 2021 season.
Pretty interesting information when it comes to quarterback, and who better to talk quarterbacks with than Scott Zolak.
It's great seeing you. Well, you played the position too, Steve.
I know, but
so
you played on a much higher level than I ever did. Hey, I want you to spin the wheel of fortune. You said at the end of the season that Garoppolo would be the guy, or you want him to be the guy to come to New England. Spin the wheel now. Do you still hold with that?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think right now he's my number one choice. And the reason that I do say that is I think he gets you the quickest back to contention. And when I say contention, winning the division, competing in a division, getting into the playoffs. Because I think, the 4 years of training, the system, the trend he was on, when Tom got suspended, he played well out in Arizona week 1, that first half against Miami. You're thinking, oh man, we got him. We even had Brissett, as number 3.
Right.
And, Coach even alluded to, we got the best quarterback group in the league. And that's changed over the years. And, Tom outlived a lot of that. And we're not going to get Tom back. But to get back to that type of standard, I think Jimmy's makes the most sense because he knows the system. Josh McDaniel's still coordinator.
Right.
And then you build your defense, and then you get a couple guys around Jimmy.
So, but what does San Francisco do? You think San Francisco's just
There's something going.
Give up
The reason I
Garoppolo?
say that is because something's going on in San Francisco. They're looking to upgrade because they said, yeah, we like Jimmy. Jimmy's our guy, but they're not like doubling down on it. Like he's not going anywhere.
So you think they're just going to let him loose?
Remember when Garoppolo was here and said they wouldn't trade 4 number 1s for him? Like you don't get that coming out of San Francisco. It could be something about Cousins. I think the dominoes are starting to fall.
Yep.
So the Goff, Stafford, deals are done. And that's an odd one, like you're going to swap. And everybody thinks, okay, say Deshaun Watson goes to San Francisco. Well, Nick's going to want a quarterback in return, and he's going to just take Jimmy. Well, if you're Nick Caserio and you're down in Houston, you have that thing stripped down. Why would you bring in sort of a veteran to where we could draft a kid and we got a brand new coach, we could build around it. If I'm Nick, I get a rookie quarterback and I start building around him there. So that frees up Garoppolo, and Bill's got a great relationship with John Lynch.
All right, spin it again. If it's not, spin it again. If it's not Garoppolo, then who?
Number 2, I like Mariota. I thought Mariota came in and played well in mop-up duty. Plus, he has the legs in 3rd and short. If you could keep things 3rd and short, he has the ability to pick up first down with his legs on the move. And I thought he came in, played accurate, did well in Tennessee when called upon. Even with Tannehill there as the mix. Goes out to Vegas and was ready to go when Carr got hurt.
If they don't,
Plus he's affordable.
If they don't get their quarterback in free agency, they have the 15th overall pick. Do they go after a quarterback there?
I would, if they trade up into the top 10, I think there's going to be a real run on these quarterbacks early.
Okay.
Now, if they trade up into the top 10 to say, we're going to go get that guy the way Cleveland did with Baker Mayfield, that means that they had a plan on this kid and that they circled this kid. That's the target. That would excite me because that's the kid for the future. You get him right away. You plug him in and play.
All right, Zo. Good stuff.
That's right.
Time will tell.
It's good. We're talking football.
Clock is ticking.
Feels like
down.
we're getting back to normal here.
I love that. I love it.
Let's punch back. We got money to do it. Let's go.
I'm Lauren Spencer with your latest Patriots Social Media Minute. Like most athletes across sports, Jake Bailey found himself on the golf course after his season ended. But Jake stayed true to what he knew and opted to practice his punts instead of his putts. The beginning of the offseason also allows for some time where players can entertain their interests outside of sports, like music, TV shows, and movies. Patriots players have been quick to call out some of their favorite artists, shows, and films on social. David Andrews and his wife Mackenzie are welcoming a new addition to their family roster this summer, and they called in their adorable dogs, Cairo and Kimber, to announce it's a boy. Chase Winovich has used his downtime to safely explore all things New England, and it appears that he is a big fan of his new home region. That'll do it for the latest Social Media Minute. Keep following along on @Patriots for all of your off-season content.
This profile is brought to you by Pepsi.
Welcome back to All Access, presented by GEICO. Flush with cap space before free agency hits, and with the draft just 2 months away, Megan O'Brien sat down with Assistant Director of Player Personnel Dave Ziegler to get his thoughts before the league year commences.
So Dave Ziegler, there's been some changes to the organization. Nick left and you have a new role. How's it been going?
It's been fun and it's been challenging. It's been a new level of having to be ultra organized, prioritize tasks, and be involved on just a greater scope with more people in the organization, which has been fun. Luckily for me, the support here within the scouting department from people like Brian Smith and Steve Cargile, Elliot Wolf, I could keep naming people, but we have so many good people here that offer support, that have experience, that it's made the transition pretty seamless. And it's exciting, a new challenge, more involvement, and again, being able to lead more people and hopefully have a greater impact is something that we all strive for in our careers. And so it's an exciting opportunity and something I'm ready to keep grinding away at.
There's no combine this year. How difficult is that for you and your staff?
Yeah, it presents a new challenge because you don't have the opportunity as much face-to-face time with the players. And I think that's the biggest thing, the interviews and the personal contact and the face-to-face communication, taking that out, though you do Zoom calls and things like that, but just that face-to-face communication makes it different because you're not able to get the read on players maybe that you would normally have, or the side conversations that you would have with players just throughout the week and things like that makes it different.
And the Senior Bowl was one of the rare occasions where you could see these players in person down in Alabama. How refreshing was that to finally get a chance to size these guys up?
It was awesome. Yeah, it was refreshing. It was nice to not only see the players and see them in a competitive setting versus other good players and see them live, and again, see those physical attributes on display live. That was great.
A blockbuster trade in the NFL. Detroit is dealing Matthew Stafford to the LA Rams in exchange for 2 future first-round picks, a third-round pick, and Jared Goff.
With the Philadelphia Eagles agreeing to trade Carson Wentz, the number 2 overall pick.
There's been 3 quarterbacks that have been traded and moved already, and those 3 were quarterbacks that some people would have considered at one point a franchise quarterback for that organization. Does the volatility of the quarterback position surprise you? Is that something we're going to see more moving forward?
Yeah, it's unique, and I just think it goes back to the high expectations that go along with that position and what the money that's invested in that position and the return that people want. There's just so many different attributes that go into playing this position.
The cap has not officially been set yet, but as we are filming this right now, the Patriots have the 3rd most cap space out of anybody in the league. What can Patriots fans get excited about as you look to reshape this roster?
I think having cap space gives you flexibility, and there aren't a whole lot of teams at this point that maybe have a lot of cap space. And so I think having that flexibility, again, it just opens up options for you. And I think that at the same time, there's still a responsibility to spend those dollars wisely.
Dave, it's an interesting offseason ahead. 15th pick and plenty of cap space. I'm sure you have your work cut out for you, and thanks for the time. Best of luck.
Thank you. We're excited.
Patriots All Access is brought to you by Pepsi. That's what I like. Pepsi, official soft drink of the New England Patriots. By Putnam Investments. Putnam Investments and the New England Patriots. Proud partners committed to an active game plan on the field and off. By Bank of America, official bank of the New England Patriots. And by AdCare. If you or a loved one is struggling with drugs or alcohol, AdCare can help. Call 1-800-ALCOHOL.
Welcome back to Patriots All Access, everyone. At Bob's Discount Furniture Studios with Mike Reiss and Paul Perillo. Great to see you guys. Now, early in the show, I talked to Scott Zolak about potential quarterbacks coming in. The one quarterback I did not mention was Cam Newton. Is Cam your quarterback next year?
I still don't think that's a very likely scenario. I understand all the talk around it, and until the Patriots come up with a solution, Mike, I think that door is going to remain open, however, slightly you want to say it, but I just don't think it makes a lot of sense. I think you saw what the offense looked like with Cam Newton, and I don't think it was good enough. I don't think the sophistication in the passing game was good enough. I don't think his physical attributes, most importantly, Mike, I think they've deteriorated a little bit, and I think there are better options.
I'll give you my best sense. I don't think it's their first choice guys, but the idea that it might be Cam and someone else, Cam and a draft pick, or Cam and another quarterback is a possibility. Like Paul said, until you have the answer, the surefire answer, you can't be closing any doors.
So are you saying Cam and as a backup to the and guy?
It could be, Steve, or Cam in a competition and let it unfold the way that it unfolds based on the fact that you now know Cam is all in your program. Everything he said about the Patriots is that he has bought in.
You heard earlier in the show Dave Ziegler talk about cap space, that there's plenty of cap space. Realistically, what do the Patriots do with that cap space? Who do you see coming in to help this football team?
Yeah, and this is going to be interesting, Steve, where quarterback fits into that, because if they have to use some of that space to acquire a quarterback, then that's a significant piece that comes out of that. But just in terms of what they need, obviously, I mean, we're not going to be breaking any new ground here. They need some targets. They need some receivers, both wide receivers and tight ends. A guy I like, a couple of tight ends. Jonnu Smith from Tennessee is a guy that I've sort of really liked the last couple of years. Gerald Everett is more of a veteran kind of guy with the Rams. I wouldn't mind seeing, I don't think either one of those guys would break the bank. I think those are the kinds of veteran, they need NFL players at these positions, Steve. And right now they don't have enough of them. Those are the kinds of veterans I'd like to see come in.
Agree with everything Paul said. Keep an eye on the franchise tag in terms of some of the big guys. Allen Robinson at receiver, Kenny Golladay at receiver. I think the Patriots, if they could get in the mix on one of those big guys, if they're not tagged, that would be big for them. And don't forget about the defense. Yannick Ngakoue, pass rusher. If he's available, that could be a big swing for them. I'd keep an eye on him as well.
Okay, you mentioned the guys. The question is, when you look at this football team and the players that are looking around at this football team from a year ago, do players want to come here as a shine off the Patriots now?
I think that's one of the more untold stories of this entire process.
Is that a fair question?
Yeah, no, I think it's more than fair. And I think for the better part of 15 plus years, you've had the advantage of knowing you're going to be in the AFC Championship game with the best coach and quarterback that the game has to offer. So that sold itself. You knew you had a chance to win. You knew you had the best were going to lead you to playoff success.
And you still have the best coach.
You still have the best coach, but you no longer have an answer at quarterback. And we already talked about the uncertainty at that position. I think it's hard. Now I think, Mike, you might have to delve into, well, we need to pay what everybody else is paying, if not maybe a little bit more.
Exactly, and I thought Hunter Henry, tight end from the Chargers, one of the top free agents, said it best. He said, what's important to me in free agency is money and a good quarterback. Because he said, as a tight end, a quarterback is so vital to my success.
So let me get this straight, Mike. What you're saying, if money and quarterback are the two main issues dealing with this football team as far as players wanting to come here, how they overcome it?
I feel really bad. I just really stunned you
right
there.
Well, you did, because, I mean...
You ruined his whole day, Mike.
What do you tell me, Mike?
Well, I'm telling you that
they have to address
it's the truth. I still think they'll get guys, to take Paul's words, as we were talking about it, but it is an obstacle that they previously didn't really have to deal with as much, that they now have to deal with. I think they can overcome it. They still have Bill Belichick, but it is an obstacle.
You still have the best coach. That's a big... big sell is you have the best coach.
So you're saying overcome it too?
Absolutely.
All right, guys. That'll do it. Thank you very much. That'll do it for this week's edition of Patriots All Access. For Mike Reiss and Paul Perillo, I'm Steve Burton. Have a great week, everybody. See you later.